Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loki here. Join me today as I show you how I overwinter a Mandevilla plant. So let's go. Some of us call them Mandevilla, some of us call them Mandevilla. They're also known as Dipladenia. It starts to get confusing after a while. We're basically talking about one and the same plant, although there are some minor differences that I'm going to share in this video. The first thing to know is this plant is not hardy here where I live in New Hampshire Zone 5B. In fact, this plant is not hardy in most areas. It's only hardy in USDA Zones 9 through 11. I want to quickly tell you the difference between Dipladenia versus Mandevilla. Dipladenia is a smaller, bushier plant. It has a more upright habit, and you typically would find it in a container pot or a hanging basket. It has small, thicker leaves, and it prefers full sun. Mandevilla, on the other hand, is considered a vigorous vine. You would put it against some sort of a fence or a trellis. It has larger leaves than those of a Dipladenia, and it prefers part sun. You'll find both plants in different colors. Sometimes the blooms are pink, red, or even white. They're very, very pretty. They give me that tropical vibe. This will be my second year overwintering the plant. Last year was an experiment, and I was so excited to see that I was able to successfully overwinter it. I will share that it took a while for the plants to bloom, and the reason is they like the temperature to be nice and warm. In fact, they are a tropical plant. They like the daytime temperatures to be somewhere between 68 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They also like the nighttime temperatures to fall somewhere between 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it came to me seeing my first blooms, I really didn't see them until midsummer. But you know what? I was okay with that because the plants were free to me. I overwintered them, and I'll be overwintering them again this year. So it really is worth the wait for me. And once the plants do bloom for me, they will bloom all the way up until my first frost. Now let's go over the different ways you can overwinter the plant. You want to protect the plant before they are hit by their first frost, and you can do that by bringing them into a sheltered location. We had our first freeze a few days ago, so in order to save the plants, I took them and I put them in my shed. My shed is not heated, but the shed stays warm enough so that the plants were not hit by the freeze. Next, you want to inspect your plants. You want to look for any sort of bugs, and if you find any bugs on there, remove those. You can also spray down your plants with water or insecticidal soap. If your plan is to bring the plants in as a houseplant, I suggest changing the soil. You don't want to bring in any sort of creepy crawlies. Another option is you can pour some sort of solution mixed with water into the soil. For example, you could use something like mosquito bits or even hydrogen peroxide. I've never brought these plants in and treated them as a house plant, but those are just some options that you could use. Some people also like to prune their plants back as much as 6 to 12 inches. Last year, I did not prune my plants back, but I know some other people prefer to do that just to maintain the size of their plant. Now let's talk about where you can overwinter this plant. One option, again, is to treat it as a house plant. If you're going to do that, you want to make sure that the plant is receiving plenty of sunlight. You can put it in the south-facing window where it's going to get a lot of sun, or you can even put it under some grow lights. I like to overwinter this plant as a dormant plant. In other words, where it's kind of asleep, it's not really actively growing during the winter months. One option for doing that is you can overwinter the plant in your garage or a basement. I will be overwintering this plant in my unheated garage. My unheated garage does not drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Of the 4 walls, 2 walls are interior, and I place the plants towards the back of the garage, and it's right next to one of the interior walls. What I observed when the plant was dormant in my unheated garage was that initially the flowers started to drop, and then the green leaves started to turn yellow. Eventually the leaves started to drop. And that's okay. That's the plant's way of basically going to sleep for the winter. Now here's the important thing. If you are going to overwinter this plant or really any other plant in that type of state where it's going to go dormant, you want to make sure you're not giving it too much water. My garage is very cool. It's not freezing, but it's definitely cold during the winter months. So the plant, while it's asleep, doesn't need a lot of water. I check on it monthly, and during that time, if I notice that the top 1 to 2 inches of soil are dry, at that point I give it the smallest drink of water. But that's it. If I give it too much water, I'm definitely going to rot the roots and the plant is going to die. A common question I get asked is, do I have windows in my garage? I do have a few windows, but the plants are not next to the window. And I'm also not giving the plants any sort of supplemental lights in terms of grow lights. The other important thing to share is I don't want to be fertilizing this plant because, again, it's in a dormant state. Then during late winter, you want to go ahead and move your plant somewhere warmer and start waking up the plant. You could bring the plant indoors from the garage or upstairs from the basement, Last year, I didn't do either of those. What I did was I just have what's called a rolling cart, and I rolled the cart out on the warmer days. And when I say warmer days, when it started to be about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just so the plants could start getting some sunlight. But then I would definitely roll the cart back into my garage during the nighttime when it was still very cold outside. And by doing that, I slowly was waking up my plant. However, if you choose to bring the plant indoors and put it under grow lights, I'm sure the plant will wake up a little bit faster for you. Once you notice active growth happening, at that point you can start watering it a little bit more, and you can also start fertilizing your plant. During that period of active growth, I'm fertilizing my plant every 2 weeks with something like Miracle-Gro. Here we are, it is fall time, and our nighttime temperatures are still cool, but they're not freezing cold. Every so often it might dip down to freezing, but during the daytime, it's definitely quite warm. And when I say quite warm, it's above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This plant right here is one of 4 plants that I've already prepared for the winter. And what I mean is I've put them in a smaller pot, and I prefer to have these plants that I'm overwintering in smaller pots or smaller containers because I can really have a handle on the watering. If it's in a much larger pot, I worry that I'm giving the plants too much water and then the roots can rot. I'm still babying these plants. During the day, they come out, they get a little bit of sun. At night, they go back into my shed for shelter. But once the daytime and nighttime temperatures get to be really cold, I am then going to be bringing the plants into my garage, and they're going to stay there for the remainder of the winter. Overwintering tender plants is one of the best ways you can save money in the garden. I'll be making videos this winter showing you my process on what I check for when it comes to these plants and how I water them, and then how I go ahead and wake them up from dormancy. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below, and I want to hear from you. Let me know if you've ever overwintered a Mandevilla or a Dipladenia, and if so, what was your process? And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.